You might think this is clickbait. It isn't. What is a system? Framework based on certain logical principles that are consistent within itself. Certain methodologies that create a bigger whole. This framework, it can exist on its own. It is independent from every other framework, and it's consistent within its own guidelines, rules, and logical methodologies. And in my eyes, according to this definition, Psychosophy is not a system. Even the author didn't think the system was serious. If it fits the definition of a system, it's a bad one. One of the biggest issues I have seen over the 6 months period I was kind of observing this, the complete inconsistency in methods of how this system works, the logic behind the system. There's no consistency. There's just none, and it does bother me because it's hard to really. You're trying to navigate those different things. You're trying to maybe if I have a different interpretation, I can get around those issues that are present, those contradictions. But at that point, you're just making stuff up. You're making your own stuff to cope with the fact that there are such clear contradictions with the system. Not only there are a few different methods, there are also a few different understandings. There's so many variations that people will, if I ask 100 people, many of them will have a complete different conclusion, a complete different understanding of the same placements, a complete different understanding of how to use those placements. It's crazy. It is something that transcends any other system. Because even in socionics, which obviously people can still disagree, the fundamentals are still there and people try to follow them. Here, it's gone. There was a famous method at some point, mental hierarchy, which a mental hierarchy is one of those things that makes everything simple. Kind of let's ignore everything else and just focus on mental hierarchy. It's easy, right? So my type, I would be VFEL within mental hierarchy. It might be a placement that you utilize more rather than focusing on your relationship with it. So for me, it would be VFEL. And if I use this logic, it'll be easy. Because I don't need to stress about any kind of other things. Don't need to focus on placements. Don't need to do anything. With this method, you are removing everything else from the equation. You're removing the placements. You're removing the placements in conjunction. You're removing even really the definitions of those placements. If it's aggressive, if it's sensitive, if it's flexible, you're removing all of that. So those individual relationships towards those placements, you're removing that completely. You type yourself by mental hierarchy, and I've done this to my friends, done this to myself, and I saw one pattern emerge. Even though we can do it well with mental hierarchy and justify it easily, when it comes to placements and we try to combine both of those methods, for example, okay, let me type myself by mental hierarchy, and now let me try doing this shit and let me see how the placements follow, right? If they follow together, it's good. It's perfect. Perfect method. It isn't that way. In fact, the placements contradict the fucking mental hierarchy. Because for myself, like again, VFEL, but that would mean third emotion. So we have to obviously ignore what third emotion is. Restricted, fucking coping emotionally. This restriction, right? It's an ethical type, an SCE being 3E. Just kind of fucking weird. And the logic should just be completely chilling. The logic is so you're coping with emotions, you're not coping with logic. You're just relaxed, flexible. That doesn't make sense. So by placements, it breaks. I couldn't type myself as that because of the placements. Even though mental hierarchy works, the placement don't. They completely fucking contradict. And I've seen this with other people. I've seen this with Ring, that you guys know. Same thing. He can type himself something as with mental hierarchy, then apply the same type as placements. Complete contradiction. This typology shit has so little meaning because everything is so changeable. Everything changes from fucking week to week, from month to month. Everything changes. So what the f is the point? No one can even agree on something without that shit changing. You know, something that's trendy. Okay, now we're using this method. Now this method is kind of famous, so everyone's using now. This is kind of trendy. Everyone's talking about how that's the right method, and whenever this fucking happens, it's always the right method. So those different methods appear, and it's the right method every single fucking time. Method number 2, descriptions. Now this is a newly born method. I've been seeing this over a few months. There will be people who will tell you that, hey, the author created those descriptions. He didn't mean for you to get typed by any other way. He was saying that you should get typed by descriptions. So now it's not really about understanding the type. It's not about any fucking mental hierarchy. It's not even about the placements. It's about the description. And this is a very popular method nowadays. People will decapitate certain types, certain whatever, because some of the pieces within the description don't fit. Not even the whole description. Some of the pieces don't fit. Third method is, hey, it's a description, the placements. And okay, like this is where I would more likely land. Obviously, a certain type works by certain principles, by certain logic, then you see a description because that's how it might manifest. If you don't fit this description at all in any way, why would you be this type? It's hard a bit to justify, so I understand. The descriptions have its place, in my opinion too. They're a good kind of way to understand something. And when you combine this with placements, that's fine. That's when you get the deeper understanding. We also have a complete different attitude towards the placements and also how they work. So there's also a different interpretation of the placements. Many people believe that volition should be typed first. Of course, it is the most basic first and most important placement. And many people will believe this because obviously, I think the author even mentioned, it is the core of your personality. You figure this shit out, you figure the rest. Yet, on the other hand, many people don't do that. They don't just type by volitional first, they do other shit. They look at the portrait, they look at the description, then they, okay, you are not this type because you are just a mistyped 2V who, and your 1F looks a bit different. And that's where you kind of fucking start annoying me, because I start seeing mental gymnastics. I see what's happening. I see what the person's doing. It's justifications. And like what the and that's where the system loses merit. I'm not 3E, I'm 3V4E. Yeah, you coped emotionally, stoic hard, underneath you're a fucking poet. You're fucking, this is your most turbulent place. But you're not 3E. You're actually just 3V. And that 3V makes your 4E look like 3E. Do you understand the issue? I mean, it's a fucking joke. The system can be anything you want. You can justify and manipulate any information to your own desire. Why are we learning that this 2V is a certain way, but now we're just fucking saying, why are we learning that this 3E manifests a specific way? But now you're fucking saying, oh, that's just another fucking conjunction of types which are very different that are masquerading as this. What the fuck? You can basically say that shit about anything. It's like everyone learned the system not from a fucking article, not from reading a book that outlined everything. It's like they learned it through whispers. It's like this system doesn't actually exist. It's just everyone learned it through everyone else, from just whispers. It's that chaotic. It is that messy. You might ask, yeah, Ross, but how should we do it? What's the solution? You just yapping. What the fuck's the solution? Well, I'd say solution, the way I do it, the way I used to do it. I looked at the placements. I looked at the type holistically. That's what I focused on. I didn't look at mental hierarchy. I said all that shit. Because again, you cannot combine placements and mental hierarchy. I'm sorry, pick one or the other. Cannot coexist at the same time. Don't believe me? Try that shit on yourself. See how many of you will fucking relate. Okay? The way I would do it, yeah, look at it holistically. Look at it holistically. 1E, 2V, 3 fucking this, 4 this. Look at it holistically. Combine it together. See its relationship and conjunction. Again, yeah, flexible emotion, low emotion, fucking this, sensitive volition. Look at all of those things. Try to combine the system holistically. At least to me, that's the best thing we can do. Do you share those frustrations? Do you think, nah, I use this method, I use that method. What the kind of method do you use? Do you even know what method do you use? Let's see it in the comment section. Anyway, I'm out, I'm Chowers, and I'm bouncing.